Hello everyone, welcome to MathAnytime.com recorded videos. In this video we'll be going over graphing quadratics with standard form. Let's take a look at this example. Y equals to x squared minus 2x minus 8. How do we graph this standard form quadratics, this second degree polynomial? Well, we need a couple of dots, a couple of coordinates in order to graph a quadratic. And how do we obtain those? Before we even get started, there are some points that we could use from the equation itself when it's in standard form. The c term, which is in this particular case negative 8, gives us the y-intercept, the c coefficient. Gives the y-intercept. So this quadratic is going to pass at negative 8 on the y-axis. The a coefficient tells us if it's greater than 0 that the quadratic is going to open upwards. If it's less than 0, it's going to open downwards. Now, looking at here in this example, there's a secret 1 attached to the x squared. So this quadratic is going to open upwards. How can we obtain a couple other points? Well, we have to find the vertex and the x-intercepts. Once we have these points, it is pretty easy to graph the quadratic. To obtain the vertex, negative b over 2a will give the x value of the vertex. And that will also be the axis of symmetry line. So let's take a look at this. Our a term is 1. Our a term is 1. Our b term is negative 2. And our c term is negative 8. So negative b over 2a would be negative, in parentheses, negative 2 over 2 times 1. Which would be 2 over 2, which is 1. So the x value of the vertex is 1. What we do is we make a line, a vertical line passing at x equals 1. This will be our axis of symmetry. Meaning if we fold this parabola that we're going to graph from this line, it will exactly come on top of each other. The two arms of the parabola will come on top of each other. Now, we take this one, we plug it into the equation to figure out the y value. So we would say y equals to, in parentheses, 1, we replace it with the x, minus 2 times 1, minus 8. This would be 1 minus 2 minus 8, and that would be negative 9. So the vertex is at 1 and negative 9. Let's bubble at 1 and negative 9. This is where the parabola makes the turn, the vertex, 1 and 9. Now we're going to find the x-intercepts. You can use the factoring method, ACB method. You can use the quadratic formula, or you can use completing the square to figure out where it's going to pass. Let's do the factoring method. Copying the question, x squared minus 2x minus 8. X squared minus 2x minus 8. So if we can get two numbers that multiply to make negative 8, that add to make negative 2, then we can figure out the factors. Well, 4 times 2 would give you 8. If we put a negative sign in front of the 4, negative 4 times 2 would be negative 8. Negative 4 plus 2 would be negative 2, so those are our factors. We can write this as x minus 4, x plus 2, and the zeros would be where x equals to 4 and x equals to negative 2. There's our x-intercepts. So we go back to the quadratic into the graph, and we're going to plug in x equals to 4 and x equals to negative 2. X equals to 4 and x equals to negative 2. We plot those. So we have 4 points now. We have the vertex, we have the y-intercept, and we have the x-intercepts. Then you make the curve and you indicate your arrows. Indicating that they are going in those directions. So this is how we graph the quadratic. The point at the bottom, this is called the minimum. The y value will give us the minimum of the quadratic. The domain is where the quadratic functions, and the domain would be all the x values of the real numbers. The range is where it operates on the y-axis, so it's going to be the numbers between -9 all the way to positive infinity. The range is where it operates on the y-axis, where the values between the y's, and the domain is the values of the x's where it operates. So in standard form, we need a couple of points to graph a standard form quadratic. When it is an ax squared plus bx plus c in this format, this is called the standard form format. The a tells us, the a coefficient of the leading term tells us if it's opening up or down. If it's positive, it's opening up. If it's negative, it's opening down. The c term gives us the y-intercept. The vertex, which is obtained by negative b over 2a, which gives us the x value of the vertex. We take that value, that becomes the axis of symmetry. We plug it into the equation, and we find the y value. That gives us where the quadratic, the parabola, is turning. And the x-intercepts allows us to graph this quadratic. So this is basically how we graph a quadratic in standard form. If you like this video, the best way to support us is to share this video. Please click on the like and subscribe buttons along with the notification bell. Remember, practice makes perfect.